author is concerned, though, that some folks won't make a decision to follow Jesus Christ. Because they'll keep saying that the issues of today are more pressing. That there are things that they need to get done, things that they need to take care of. There are certain things that need to be focused on that today seem to be more important. And what he draws our attention to in this chapter, I don't know if you all read the chapter. Did y'all read the chapter? Yeah. Okay. That's nice. That's nice. Now, some of y'all didn't say nothing. I already know. It's like, I know. It's like school. You know you don't read, so you just kind of chill in the back. In any case, what the author does, this chapter was sad to me. It was very sad. It had a very kind of somber and final tone. Had a very, very final sort of tone to it. Because what he says is that unfortunately, the response to Jesus for many folks comes after it is too late. After something tragic has happened. After you have hit rock bottom. After we have experienced some sort of loss that has caused us to now question what really is actually important. The sadness comes in the fact that for some of us it takes that. So we on some level suffer undue hardship that we may not necessarily suffer if we align with God's plan for our life in the first place. That doesn't mean that we won't experience death and that it won't hurt. It doesn't mean that we won't experience loss and those things won't continue to kind of eat at us. But what it does mean is that when we experience those that loss and that hurt, that we understand that in the scheme of things, in the whole scheme of things, that the Lord has already dictated that everything will be all right. What we find when our mindset is off is that we end up in these very, very dark and despairing places. In these places that are hopeless. Because our mindset isn't necessarily focused on him and how he causes things, what is truly important. So the author says many people finally respond to Jesus' invitation after it's too late. He goes into this whole discussion of how he had a friend named Scott who was about 10 years older than him. He continued every day to say he was going to commit, but there were things that he wanted to get done first. And what he found, what he ends up saying is that eventually his wife, I think his wife ended up leaving him. And he ends up all alone. And he ends up in this place where now he's questioning all that he has placed in priority. See, some of this stuff is, on some levels, kind of, I don't know, I don't want to be, dismissive, okay? Because I realize that feelings that we have for others are real and true. That we certainly have feelings for those that we are in love with, or that we have no choice but to love. You understand what I mean? I mean like family, okay? Folks that we don't have no choice. They just family, okay? So those relationships are real. But when we pour our whole self into relationships, and we pour ourselves into relationships more than we have poured ourselves into our relationship with the Lord, then where do we find ourselves if those relationships change? We find ourselves, what do you say? I said crushed. Crushed. Find ourselves not understanding how to pick up the pieces. It's the same thing as it's the same concept as the prosperity doctrine, right? This focus on money and the attainment of the world's riches, right? And so the focus is you're going to do all these things. You're going to check your list off. You're going to have your checklist. You go to church. You give a certain amount. You join a couple ministries. You know, you pray a little bit. You know, every now and then you might sing or something. And then you're going to be blessed with blessings. Money, cars, clothes, all that. Okay? And then say it doesn't happen. That you've been pursuing all of those things. Pursuing the advancement in the career. All of those sort of things as your number one priority, and they don't happen. The faith becomes crushed because the faith has been misplaced. What we're talking about is placing your faith in the right place. Mm-hmm. Not tomorrow, but right now. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So there's a question on your sheet that asks you to reflect on your own life. Asks you to, when have you been the most responsive to Jesus' invitation? I want to tell you right now, I was the most responsive to Jesus' invitation when I lost my job and I lost relationships. That's when I was the most responsive. And I don't know if I probably told you all this, you've probably heard this before, but I often consider what would have happened had I committed when I first knew that the Lord was calling me to a deeper commitment. Would I have even ended up in those sort of situations? Would I have ended up in those sort of relationships? Would I have ended up with those misplaced feelings? And the truth is, when I reflect on it, I don't think I would. And even if I had, I don't know if I would have been so hurt. I really don't. When are we the most responsive to Jesus' invitation to follow? If we go back to Luke chapter 5, they caught this large number of fish on the basis that Jesus tells him to go out, push out into the deep, and to lower his nets. Simon, without hesitation, goes on. He don't say, no. He's not concerned about the fact that everyone knows as a fisherman you go out at night to try to get your best catch. He's not concerned about who's standing on the shore saying, look at Simon. Simon out there going crazy. He's way out there. He just came in, not concerned.
Fish don't bite in the day.
Right, fish don't bite in the day. Out there wasting time. Not concerned. He goes on out and they pull in this large catch that is so full, so much that it fills his boat, fills his friend's boat, and according to the text, the boats began to sink. The boats began to sink. It would seem to me that the boats are symbolic. And the boats are symbolic of our lives. Simon has yielded his boat, his livelihood at the very beginning of this passage to Jesus to sit in. Jesus is now sitting in his life, in his livelihood. Jesus tells him, push out into the deep. He's directing his life. He casts down the nets, draws in these fish, these abundant blessings, into now his life. Now, Simon has had a mindset of what his life is all about. He's a fisherman. That's what he does. He fishes. Fishes. What is it, fish? I don't know.
He's a
He
fisher.
fishes.
Fisher. Mm-hmm.
He fishes.
He's a fisher.
It's a verb. Thank you. He can over here giving me grammar lesson. He fishes. Okay? So he fishes.
He's fishing for a living.
Because that's his life. The fish fill the boat and cause the boat to begin to sink. Now, to me, when I read the text, it makes me feel as if Jesus is in my life and I have one thought about how my life is really supposed to be, that once he's in the boat and he fills it with the blessings that he can only bring, that he will sink the life that I thought I had so that I actually might have the life that he wants me to have. So the boats are full. All because Simon responded whenever, as in right now. Because there was no hesitation in his response. The boats are full. And then not only are the boats full because of that, not only are the boats full, but then Simon realizes, he seems to kind of come into this recognition that his life wasn't all that it was supposed to be. And so he makes this statement to Jesus, to go away from me, I'm a sinful man. Which is really what, when we declare our commitment, whenever we're saying, is that we realize right in the midst of who we are every single day, every single hour, every single second, that we are unworthy to be in God's presence. And then because we realize we're unworthy to be in his presence, we try our very best to do whatever we can to remain in his presence, because the blessings we've seen have been unimaginable. The problem comes when we think that we can hide in these small crevices that he can't see. Because in those moments we pick and choose when we're going to be committed. But what Jesus is saying to us tonight is that you don't have a choice when you can be committed. The discipleship is about total commitment all the time. It's nonstop. It's a race that never ends. There is no end. You keep running. You get tired, slow down. But don't you stop. You stay in the race. The author, I know I'm kind of flipping back and forth. Y'all following? Y'all ain't following? So the author goes into, in the text about this as now, so then principle of human behavior. Someone described to me, what is he saying when he talks about the as now, so then principle of human behavior? It's been a long time since I heard y'all participate on the video. So I will make sure the folks at home know this is interactive. Right? So what is he talking about when he says as now, so then principle of human behavior?
How you behave now is predictive of how you behave.
All right, thank you very much. So if today you say, I'm going to change tomorrow, more likely than not, tomorrow you'll say, I'm going to change tomorrow. I was thinking about this because here's an example. There are things that need to be done sometimes at the house. Okay? See, Amanda's in the other room, so she ain't going to say no amen to this. So there are things that need to be done at the house sometimes, right? And she doesn't necessarily create this list and give it to me, but it's like this running list in her mind. And she'll say, hey, such and such needs to be taken care of. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get to that. And I'll say, I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to do it later on. And what ends up happening is, later on, turns into 3 days, 5 days, or a week. So Sister Holloway, that's why Brother Holloway is helping me with my graphs. He's helping me stay on task. Okay? So it's this constant sort of thing where I'll say I'm going to take care of this, and for whatever reason it doesn't get done because on my priority list, what she has said, not that everything she doesn't say is important, but those things are minor to me. The problem is that in terms of how we approach our relationship with Jesus, we're treating him like he's a minor when he's really a major. That he's not one of those things that you can just say, I'm going to get to you when I can. He's one of those things that you need to take care of right now. This would be, if we were to take this and this was to be a preached message, this would be one of those fire and brimstone sermons. This would be one of those get your life right or else. Because there are consequences to not responding in the appropriate way to the call of Jesus. Somebody read Hebrews 3:15.
It says today, if you hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation.
All right? Someone read 2 Peter chapter 3, verse, 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 and 9.
But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to us, not willing that any should perish,
Read verse 10.
but that all should come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up.
Thank you very much. So here we are with the message. The message is that you don't have any more time to play church. There's no more time to play like you are a disciple and not really be a disciple. Because today very well may be the day. The whole point of all of this, and in terms of our commitment, is so that we might be ready. Ready when he returns. There's a song that the Winans used to sing. I was going to play it on YouTube, but I couldn't get my phone straight for you tonight. But there's a song the Winans sing, and it's entitled Tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll give my life tomorrow. Better choose the Lord today. Cedric sings that? Where's Cedric at? Cedric not here.
Tomorrow, I give my life
He
tomorrow.
sings that song. That's his song.
Choose the Lord, choose the Lord
Brother
today.
McLean sings it too.
Tomorrow may be too late.
Tomorrow may be too late. And that's the truth. That is the truth. We see evidence of it every day. Matter of fact, we see evidence of it just this week. Those folks in Oklahoma and today, those folks in Oklahoma didn't know that the other day life would be turned upside down because of this tornado.
Everything will go.
And those folks who got killed over there near South Square today, they didn't know that today would be the day. 2 people. Huh? Bad accident coming up here. Right. We don't know That's right. That's the truth. The saying, Cole said the saying is, here today, gone tomorrow. The truth is you could be here today, gone today. There is no time. There is no time. There's no time. None. Time is up.